Good morning. So I'm out on a walk with the dogs. I'm doing a little bit of a different hike. I'm going to hike up to that cave this morning. Um, and I'm having a lot of thoughts. This morning I woke up wide open. So I want to talk about spiritual awakening and all sorts of different aspects of it, and about pain, and that pain is essential for the spiritual awakening. Um, and how during the spiritual awakening we each have to become our own best friends, and in becoming our own best friends we learn our own superpowers, and we take ownership of them, and then we come into sync with ourselves, and then we can also use our superpowers as our tools, and we come into um, a place of joy within ourselves, because we are being a full expression of our true selves and of what we have meant, our true essence, I should say. So on this spiritual awakening, where do I want to start with this? Maybe I should start how that where when on during this sort of spiritual awakening, we we have to go through all of there's okay. Well, I know where I'm going to start. We're going to start with pain, because pain will lead us into the rest of it. So on the spiritual awakening, pain is a crucial, essential part of the spiritual awakening, because with the pain initiates and ignites. Um, I'm going to pause this until I get up to the top, because I can see that I'm not concentrated. So give me a minute. I'm just going to turn it around and show you where I'm going. So there's a cave up there. See, Lola's already on her way. I came from over there. There are a couple more caves over on that side of the valley. And there's Rexy over there. So I'm going to pause this until I come back. Okay, so I got here. I'm sitting at the entrance of this cave, the mouth of the cave. I'll show it to you afterwards. Looking over the valley here. You know what? I'll show it to you so you can imagine where I'm at while you're watching. So this is my view. You see? I always wear my shoes into oblivion. My shoes are already falling apart. And I'll turn it around here so you can see the other side. This is the cave. It's a massive cave. So you can see how little Lola is in there. It's massive, massive, massive. So during the spiritual awakening, typically you'll notice that something happens in our life that changes everything, and it's a shock, and it brings immense pain. And then we're like catapulted into the spiritual awakening. And that's why the twin flame journey also is something that catapults you into spiritual awakening. It's all about the spiritual awakening. Um, and like I said in the previous videos, that a spiritual awakening is the really cleansing of yourself and bringing yourself back to your core vibration, or your core essence, back to soul level, which is above the ego. And so if you want to watch that video, I did a video about it that was channeled the other day. So why is pain essential? Pain is actually an indicator of where we're off with sync. We're off of sync with the universe, sync of cause and effect, because everything around us, the pain is what we attach to situations. There is no pain in situations. You know, a rock falls and it lands where it lands because of physics, because of cause and effect. So you throw a ball and the ball rolls. It's cause and effect. Everything in the universe that happens for a reason, and it happens because of its preceding causes. So everything that you see around you in the physical world is an effect of something that caused it, including us. We also, because we belong to this universe, the universal laws apply to us as well. So every emotion that we have, or everything that we are, or every experience that we experience, or everything that we perceive as happening to us, is because of a reason. There's always a reason. And the way that we got to where we are specifically in our lives was because a series of events, a series of cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. Now, many times when we get catapulted into this spiritual awakening, it's because something happens in our life that causes us immense pain, and then we are forced to start looking at it, or we're forced into a situation that we wouldn't have chosen, or we don't think that we would have chosen. We're always choosing our sometimes we're choosing blindly, but we're always choosing our circumstances, um, based on our core beliefs, which a lot of them are in the subconscious and we are not even aware of them, and they're actually leading us around by the nose. Beliefs that we formed before we could even remember that we had them. Beliefs such as where we belong in the world, um, um, if the world is if life is difficult or life is easy, we're born into families that have, whether survival mode, or, there's so many different things that form who we are, that are formed by a consensus of society, by our parents, by our grandparents. It's not even our parents, it's our grandparents and and their parents before them and their parents before them. And these consensuses, or the ways of believing, are passed down. Like, one of the ones that I got really strong from my father, and he still fights me with it. Like, he still is tight on that belief, is that life is difficult and you have to work hard for money, and there's scarcity. You have to scramble to make a living, and you have to work most of your life, hard labor, to make a living. And that is something that he's lived by, and something that I was raised into. And those are one of the core beliefs and core things in me that I am now overcoming and realizing, coming out of. But these things are so deep and embedded in us that we don't even know, that we're not even aware of them. And they are like, it's like we're being strung by these strings from behind the scenes, or like these unseen forces are maneuvering our lives that we don't even know that they're there. And so, like false beliefs, the beliefs that can be changed, because not everybody believes that you have to work really hard to make a living. And the people that don't believe it, because we realize that our thoughts make our reality, right? And our beliefs, what I believe to be true is true for me, what you believe to be true is true for you. And so we have these core beliefs that manage our lives. But getting back to the pain and the cause and effect, so everything in life is according to cause and effect. So there's a cause and there's an effect. And if you look around you in the universe, there is no pain. The only thing that is painful is the pain that you attach to it, because you are the one that is perceiving pain. Other people see the same situation, they're not hurting from it. So obviously the pain is inside of me. It's my pain, it's my experience, it's what is inside of me. If the universe, all the universe sees is cause and effect. All of the emotions are all around us as a vibration at all times. You can connect to any of the emotions, and you're more perceptible to the emotions, to connect to the emotions that you are already vibrating with, that you already know, that are already in sync with your being. And so the way that you perceive it, there can be two people in the exact same situation. One perceives it as, oh no, doomsday, and the other one perceives it as, oh, look at this opportunity, something to overcome. So you know that there's different ways of looking at things, and it's all in the perceiver. It's all in your eye. It's all in how you decide to take it. So we're going through life, and then something happens, something catalytic. I don't know if that's even a word, but something in your life happens that's enormous, and it causes you immense pain. It could be a divorce, it could be loss, it could be loss of love, it could be, there's so many, loss of a job. There's so many different things that happen, and everything happens for a reason. Everything is just cause and effect. And when we feel pain, it is our resistance to whatever is happening. It is our resistance of the cause and effect. That means that we are the ones that are out of sync with the way that things are, because everything that happened for a preceding reason. So appreciation makes for such a beautiful life. When you can be in appreciation, even for the smallest things, first of all, it brings you into the now. It brings you into the now because you're aware of what you're doing. It brings awareness to everything that you're doing, and everything that you're doing becomes intentional when you come into the now. And coming into the now is coming into pure consciousness. It's coming into being the perceiver and being the observer. And then it takes you out of your mind and into the now. There's a coffee here right now, and all things are good, and all things are great, and everything is a miracle. And so bringing it back. And so what all pain is our resistance of the way that things are, trying to control the outcome. Attachment. It's attachment. And why do we have attachment? Because we have this need to have security. Why do we have a need to have security? Because when we were born into the world, we were disconnected from source. It's an illusion. Yeah, we're not really disconnected from source, because this life is connection to source. There's source energy running through me. This body is just a whole bunch of cells. How is there life in it? It's the connection to source energy. So we're always connected. But when we're born, we are given this ego, which is our ultimate tool of managing and sifting through this experience, this life experience. And so we have the illusion of being abandoned. So we have this core wound from the moment that we're born of abandonment, that we are abandoned, and that we're alone, and we're disconnected. And there is fear in that. And so we attach onto things that give us security. We attach onto objects, we attach onto people, we attach onto ways of thinking, we attach into beliefs, we attach. We just become attached. And attachment is really is a different sort of addiction. We're addicted to ways of thinking. We're addicted to people. We're addicted to, addiction. We always, addiction has to it a sense of addiction is a bad thing, but addiction is really our ability to form thought or to form anything in this experience. Um, we are all addicted. We are all addicted to many, 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 many different things. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be able to have this life experience. Um, but that is a completely different video that I'll get into in a different time. Um, because we are all addicted to things, but at different, there's like a spectrum of addiction. Some people are more prone to stronger addictions, and some people are less prone, but we all are addictive creatures. And the only way that we could exist in this, it's a tool. The only way that we can exist in this experience is through addiction. Because otherwise we would have no attachment to anything. We wouldn't even have attachment to ourselves or to food or to anything. So it's a necessary part of this existence, but it's just like everything else. You have to find the balance. You have to find the balance. Everything in this experience is a balance, just like we're a balance. We're a balance between matter and, between substance, space, time, and energy. Energy is a life force that comes through us. So we are connected to the divine, and we are majestical creatures, but we're also meat animals. So we have to feed the body, the meat. So it's all the whole experience is finding balance and finding the medium in all of these different things. And it's so complex, and there's so many different aspects of it. So pain really is just our resistance to change, our resistance to outcome, it's holding on, it's our grasping, it's our not releasing, it's our judgment. We're judging that things need to be a certain way, and we're fighting against the way that things are. We're fighting against cause and effect. And what is cause and effect? Cause and effect is the natural way of things unfolding. And during our life, we are going to have to experience change and things unfolding in specific ways. And then we're catapulted into, we have this immense pain, and many times we don't know how to deal with it, and we're still holding on to what we want to be. And because there's a void that comes in with the loss, we have this immense void, and change is painful. We have to change everything about us. We have to change our belief system. Now, when we're catapulted into this pain, um, it is mustering up all the other pain that is within us. It's like having this big pot, right? And as soon as you start stirring it, if the pain of carrots that just went into the pot, and the pot's starting to stir, everything else that's at the bottom of this pain pot is going to come up to the surface. So it's not only dealing when once the pain is initiated, you start going through yourself, and you start unfolding and unraveling what is causing you pain, and you realize that it's in this attachment, and you have to let go. You start finding other things that you are holding on to, and you've held on to for forever without even knowing that you're holding on to. And then change starts happening, immense change. And so this pain is necessary for the spiritual awakening. I'm going to pause this for a minute. I have to come back into my center. Okay, so I gathered myself back up. So as we go through the pain, and if we allow it to go through us, and we allow it to bring up everything that it's going to bring up, because when we start going through pain, it starts bringing up old traumas and bringing up what we're feeling pain over. And then we have to sort through it and align ourselves with the outcome and accept it because of the cause and effect. It just is what it is. And once we can go through the pain and release, then we can come into ourselves and into our center, and we can accept whatever it is. Then we can let it go, and then the pain releases. But there is a certain amount of pain that you just have to go through. And as you're going through this pain, it's bringing up old memories. All of a sudden, you'll start realizing that not only are you going through the pain of what is, that this pain is based it's based on false beliefs from the past. And then everything that is based on that false belief, as the false belief starts to disintegrate, everything that since then has been based on this false belief is brought to the surface, and then you're having to deal with that, and with that, and with that, and with that. And a lot of times the current pain drowns the old pain out, but there's a lot of shame in that. We have to go through the shame, and we have to go through the sorrow, and we have to go through knowing that we were wrong, and accepting that we were wrong, and many times even forgiving ourselves or forgiving others. Or in forgiveness, forgiveness is the sweetest of sweets. It's like, and when you get to a point in your spiritual awakening where the forgiveness is automatic. It's not to say that you have to accept or certain behaviors, or have to um, return people that you don't want into your life. But the forgiveness is mainly for you. And forgiveness is also knowing that everybody is doing what they can do according to their own belief system and according to where they are on their spiritual journey. And there is no blame. There is no sense of, there is no sense in blame. And so as we're going through the pain is bringing up all of these old insecurities and all of these old traumas. And the deeper we go into the pain, the more intense the pain is. I know the more painful the pain is, the more intense it is, and the harder it is to go through. And I'm smiling, but I'm going through intense pain. I'm going through my core wounds. This is where I've gotten to, and this is how I can even make this a video, is because of where I am on my spiritual path. And when you get to the core wounds, it's the ultimate healing. It's the non-attachment. When you get to your full power, you're not attached. And then it brings you to a place where you can observe things and people and situations clearly, you can observe them as cause and effect without putting meaning to them or without having them have to play out in a certain way. And then you become a divine being. You can see through situations without having to take it personally. You can see through other people's behaviors, and you can become also um, a wise man or woman. You can judge situations, and we always judge. There is no way to get through this life without judging. We're always judging, and you have to judge things in order to go through life. Otherwise, you can't even collect thoughts. I mean, that's how we learn things, is through judgment, and that's a completely different video that I'll do maybe one day, if I feel inspired to do it. So when you go through your core wounds, it is a release. It's a pure release of having to control the outcome. And then you become a master, because you can see very simply cause and effect. You can see people's behaviors, and you can see that, okay, there's the effect. What's the cause? You become curious, rather than judgmental. You become like, oh, wow, that's an interesting effect that person has over there. I wonder what caused that. And then you can see very clearly, or you can even know sometimes what that person had to have gone through in order to get that effect, in order to get that behavior. Without even knowing the person, you can already know the person just like that, because those effects come from somewhere. And having gone through your own core wounds, which many of humanity have the same core wounds, which the very, very core is the core of abandonment, which I was talking about before. So when you can understand this, then you can understand anyone. And once you get into this immense pain, you'll start noticing that thoughts are coming up, old thoughts that you thought that you didn't realize that even had an effect on your life, old situations. Allow these things to come up and go through you, and think them through, and get curious about them. Why is this coming up? There's a reason why this specific thought is coming up during this pain. Something in this situation that I'm remembering, or something in this person, or something has come up to remind me. Something there has come up to help me on my spiritual journey, because these are things that are being pulled out of your subconscious, and they're relevant to the pain that you're going through. They are, and most of the time you'll know the answer right away. Most of the time, if you're honest with yourself, you'll know the answer right away. And during this whole process of the spiritual awakening, we come to know ourselves so intimately, and we come to accept ourselves, because we realize that every single behavior that we've had, every lashing out, every blame game, every victim, when we played the victim, every addiction, there was always a reason. Addictions we fall into. I'm an alcoholic. Well, I've been clean for 10 years, but I did fall into alcoholism, and there I can see it clearly. I wasn't able to cope with all of the sorrow that I had in my life, and that was a way of not having to cope. It was a way of drowning out my troubles so that I could just dredge on in the muck of my life that was. But once you start going through this and you start seeing these things, they're first of all, you come into a place of self-love, because you realize that everything that you've done for a reason. And you can become completely compassionate with yourself, and accepting of yourself, and knowing yourself intimately. And through this whole spiritual awakening, you become your best friend, your own best friend, because you are the only witness that has always been there, internally and externally, in your life. And if you are not your best friend, then how can you expect somebody else to come in and be your best friend? If you don't find the self-love and love yourself, why would you expect another? If you don't fully love yourself, you wouldn't believe that another loves you, even if they told you that they loved you. Because if you don't see yourself worthy, even for your own love, then how do you see yourself worthy of somebody else's love? So without self-love, there can't be a true loving relationship. First, it's self-love, complete self-love. And that's why we become our own best friends on this journey, on this spiritual awakening. And in order for us to come into our full power and our superpowers and to bring ourselves forward into the world, we have to become our own best friend. We have to be able to look at ourselves honestly, for better or for worse. For better or for worse. We have to marry ourselves for better or for worse. That means to look at our shadows and to look at our strong points honestly. A lot of times it's a lot easier for us to even to look at our shadows than it is to look and own our strong points. But how are we going to bring our gift forward into the world if we are unable to look at it full on and say, oh yeah, look at that. Look how good I am at that. Or so I would suggest that anybody watching this video would sit down and make a list of their superpowers. You don't have to show it to anybody, but you have to show it to yourself. Make a list of things that you're good at, that you know that you're good at. And I know that sometimes it can feel like um, we were taught not to be show off. What's the word? Oh, big gloating or conceited. But it doesn't have to be in a way of conceiting or gloating. It's a way of bringing yourself into your full power and being aware of what your powers are and saying them outright. If you don't tell the world who you are, who's going to tell the world who you are? What, are you waiting for somebody to come? And this is something that I realized when I first started my spiritual awakening, is that I knew that I was a special being inside, just like each and every one of us. I knew that I was a special being inside, but I was waiting for somebody from the outside, like a savior, to come and say, oh, look at you, you're so wonderful. And but if you don't see your own self-worth, how would you expect somebody else to see your own self-worth? You need to bring your own light from inside and shine it outwardly and say, hey, look, this is who I am. We tell the world who we are, and the world believes us. And so part of the spiritual awakening is awakening your spirit, is coming, if you want to be satisfied in this life and feel like you have accomplished something and feel like you have lived your life to the fullest, then you need to bring yourself forward and live your life to the fullest. Bring your strong points forward and be able to say, hey, these are my strong points. This is what I'm good at. And then start putting yourself forward in these places. It's just like we can do the shadow work and we can go through the pain and we can bring up all the gugh from the bottom of the pit. Like I was saying about that pit that I went in with the metal detector the other day. And all of the gluck starts coming up from the bottom. So that's the going through the pain and going through all of the falsity and all of the false beliefs and releasing and letting go and allowing yourself to flow through life and not getting stuck on anything. You get curious about life. You don't try to control. See, it's a paradox because on one hand, you don't get stuck on anything because you realize that everything is cause and effect. But on the other hand, you become a powerful being because you realize that you can control the cause and effect. So if you understand that everything is cause and effect and you don't like the outcome, then change the input, because the input is directly connected to the output. Whatever you put in, you get out. So you can do that kind of work once you master yourself. You have to master yourself. You have to go through this pain. So see the pain as a gift to you for you to do the work, and just kind of sit in the pain and realize what it is, and realize that there is a certain amount of pain that you have to go through during the spiritual awakening. Otherwise, you can't go through the spiritual awakening. You can't go through the spiritual awakening while being outside of it at the same time. I mean, you can be an observer. Just what I'm doing now is I'm observing the process. I'm like, okay, I'm going through it, but at the same time, I come out of it and I observe it, and I can kind of tell what it is, but I still have the pain. So the pain is inevitable. It has to be. And then during the pain, we start releasing. But remember that it's not only, everything is dual. Everything is a yin and yang. So, and the power of it is bringing everything into one. So as you are releasing the pain and you're going through all of this, and you are intimately becoming to know yourself, you're also intimately and you're releasing your weaknesses, which are the places that you're not standing upright in your archetypes that you've received from the universe, which are these, which I did a video before about archetypes, which are your powers that come into you. A lot of us don't know our own power, and we're afraid of our own power, so we fall into the shadows of our archetypes, which are, let's say there are there are strengths in the archetypes, and there are weaknesses in the archetypes. And when you fall into the weaknesses, you allow demons to come in the back door, as I like to say, addictions. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but it's not you standing in your weaknesses. And then these behaviors come in that are avoidant. So there are behaviors that allow you to be in these weaknesses. They're like excuses that you make for yourself why you're not standing up in your power. That person did it. No, I'm the poor person in it. Blame and being a victim are two sides of the same thing. You blame somebody else, you are being a victim. When you feel sorry for yourself, then you don't have to stand up in your power. When you feel sorry for yourself, then you stop somebody else from telling you what you don't want to hear. When you blame somebody else, it's the same thing. It's an offensive. You blaming somebody else, so you're stopping them from, and you're not taking responsibility in either of the behaviors. You're not taking responsibility. If you're blaming somebody else, you have to wait for that person, and they're the cause of what's going on in your life. Then you have to wait for that person to change for your life to change, right? And if you're being a victim, it's the same thing. Being a victim is blaming, so, and not standing up in your own power. So not only do we have to go through the pain and bring all the sludge up from the bottom and work through it and get to know ourselves intimately, we have to become our own best friend. We also have to stand up into our power at the same time. So when you have an extreme loss, and this is a key point, this is very important. When you have a loss, there's a void that comes in. Think of it as like something goes out, and then all of a sudden there's a vacuum. And in you, there's a void. There's like an empty space. But there is no absence in the world. There is no absence. Wherever you are always, even if you don't see it, you're surrounded by things. So we are part of this universe, and we work the same way. There is no void. So when something leaves, it's like water leaving, other water will come in. So when you have a sense of loss, which a lot of times we lose, we feel like we lost something. We lost a love, we lost a life partner. When we lose something and we are catapulted into the spiritual awakening, or another step in the spiritual awakening, because the spiritual awakening just keeps on going and going and going. But when we're feeling that immense pain, it is an opportunity to bring into the void things that will enrich our lives. So many of us, when we go into this void, we avoid the pain. We don't want to feel the pain. So we start looking and searching for things to bring in. And that's when we can go to smoking or drinking or finding a sexual partner that isn't a good suit, or we just start going out all the time and running. And that is trying to fill the void with things that are superficial so that we don't have to feel the pain. It's like elusive. It's like trying to take our mind and put it on something else because I don't want to look over here. It's too painful. It's too painful. But then the pain just resides in you, and it just sits in there dormant, waiting for something to ignite it. And then you always have to be running. You always have to be avoidant. You always have to be filling the void until you actually go through it. Sometimes you can bring it down and you can make it dormant, but it's still leading your life in the subconscious because everything that you do in life, you're avoiding that pain. So everything that you do in life, and anybody that touches like a little bit of that box, you start lashing out and pushing them away, and you start running in the other direction. So it's still, that pain is still, or whatever the cause of the pain, or whatever you have in that Pandora box is still running your life from the subconscious level. It's just like it's the exact same thing as having your fear of abandonment, which is one of our core wounds, and it is throughout humanity. Everybody has it. That is at the very, very base. That is what you're born into the world with. The feeling of this void of being disconnected from the all, from the universe, from God, from everything around us. It's an illusion. And that is the ultimate overcoming. Because once you overcome the void of abandonment, you feel safe in the world, and change won't bother you because you are a safe being. So that is one of the core wounds. I think the core wound. And feeling once you overcome that, you also are self secure within yourself, and you are in your full power, because you realize that you are connected to the all and you're a part of the all. And part of that realization is self assurance and self security and confidence, because when you realize that you are connected to the all, you have already had to have gone through the unworthiness, which the unworthiness is really right on top of that. It's like connected to it. It's like the next stage down. The unworthiness. We're all taught, and a lot of the false behaviors, if you look at them deeply and you follow the chain backward. Why am I doing this behavior? Why am I doing this behavior? And that's a different video that I do want to do, because that was one of the first things that I realized when I first started my spiritual awakening, was finding how to find the core belief that is causing the behavior that you don't want. And I can do a different video on it because this is already getting super long. And that is an interesting video, and it's a subject all on its own, of getting back to, and it always comes back to the feeling of self-worth. So once you get to the core wound of abandonment, you've already resolved all this self love. It has to dissipate with that, because when you find your connection to the all, you find that you are part of God. You are part of everything, and you are perfect the way you are, and that everything that you have gone through and everything that you are going through and everything that you think is because of cause and effect, is because of a reason. There's a reason for everything. And then you come into harmony and self-acceptance, because you realize that it all happened for a reason, and there is no blame, there is no shame. There is, even the things that we're the most ashamed of, we have done for a reason, for reasons of being. Whether the reason is acceptable to you now or not, it doesn't matter. We are always doing the best that we can with whatever tools we have and whatever situations. And that's an argument. You can argue that. But there is everything is a paradox, and everything has other aspects to it, and everything that I'm saying is me bringing this massive idea into clarity of words, is already bringing something and narrowing it way down so that it can be communicated. Yeah, but it's like, think of it as this immense infinity amount of knowledge base that is coming through, and just bringing little slivers of it through. A couple of pigeons up there. Um, and so I just want to sum this up about the self power. So coming through the spiritual awakening, we become our own best friends and our own advocates. And when we are able to go through ourselves and know ourselves intimately, we're also able to find our superpowers, and we are able to give them to the world, and that gives us the ultimate peace. So during the spiritual awakening, not only are we resolving the pain, which is a gift to us, we're also getting the gift of knowing ourselves intimately and being able to say outwardly what our gifts are. And I want to give an example here, just so that you can see what it looks like. It is, there's pride in who you are. There's pride in who I am. So, and you can say who you are and what your super strengths are without any kind of shame. It's not conceited. It's just stating the facts as they are, for better or for worse. We're marrying ourselves. We're bringing we're looking at all the aspects of ourselves honestly, which is also our strengths, but also our weaknesses. And when we're able to be honest with ourselves that way, it is also perceived outwardly as honest, as being honest and not being conceited. Or it's not coming into a place like, oh, look at me, I'm better than anybody, because we all have our own superpowers and our own life force and our own things that we're going through and our own traumas and our own realizations and our own strengths and our own gifts to give to the world. So, and this is also practice for me to be able to bring my gifts to the world. So one of my gifts is being able to bring all of these thoughts and all of these understandings into words and to be able to share them and to stand in front of a camera. And this is something that is new for me, because if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would stand in front of a camera and talk about these things, I wouldn't have thought that that would have been possible. But here I'm doing it. And remember that this spiritual awakening is a process. It is a process. There are quantum leaps on it. There are understandings that push you 20 steps forward, but the rest of the time, it's just going through the grudge. You have to dig around in the grudge. You have to dig around in the muck until you find something, and then it's like relief. Dig around in the muck until you find something, and relief. So it's not all just relief, relief, relief. Sometimes it's grudge, grudge, grudge. And and sometimes it's not pretty, and sometimes we can't get a hold of that high flying feeling. And you'll see in some of my videos, even a video that I did yesterday, where I am completely in my muck. And that's part of it. And I feel like, I started thinking to myself, well, maybe I shouldn't put up all those videos, but honestly, that is all part of the spiritual awakening. And if these videos that I'm doing, it's a whole series of my spiritual awakening, then that is an important part of it. That is the truth of it. That's what it looks like. And if you're watching this and you're going through a spiritual awakening, then you understand this, because that's what it looks like. So if I'm only doing high flying videos and putting up the high flying moments, then it's not being honest. Or I guess it is being honest, but it's not showing all of the true nature of it and all of the parts of it where there are parts of it where you are going through it, where you're not the observer of it, you are the experiencer of it. So it's dual. And so at the end of this experience, though, I just want to say that we come into our own, and we come into finding our own personal strengths and the things that we're good at, and rising into them. And in that there's such a sweetness. There's such a sweetness in me being able to stand here and tell this process. There's a sweetness in it, and it's for you, but it's mostly for me. Well, I guess it's a dual. It doesn't have to be mostly for me, but it's also for me. And if I help one person, then I've helped the whole universe, because each of us is a universe in itself, in ourselves. And so with that, I'm going to sum this up. I'm going to turn around and just show you where I'm at again, just because it's so beautiful here. So this is where I'm sitting. It is right now 9:35 in the morning. I'm going to get back to my house and get busy on I think I'm going to work a little bit on Amazon today, and I'll upload these videos. And also on this twin flame journey, I talk about it and now I feel like this pain come up in me. But on the twin flame journey, when the chasing energy goes, when you quit chasing, all of a sudden there's time for everything. All of a sudden everything comes into a flow. There isn't like, oh, I need to chase, or, oh, I need to get this done so that at the end of the day, it all comes into flow. So I can allow myself to go out and make a video on the side of the mountain until 9:30 with ease, knowing that I have the rest of the day without any thing that is tying me or any kind of place that I have to be running to or chasing. And it really giving up the chasing energy. First of all, I know that it still comes up in me. But I am just going to be sitting through it, just like I was talking about the pain, sitting through the pain on this journey. You just have to sit in it. Just sit in it until it goes. And it's been going quicker and quicker. It comes and then it goes. And it comes, I breathe through it, and then it goes. So, wishing you lots of love. Thank you for watching. And I will make more videos like this as they come up.